This is great. This is going to be perfect. Desk will fit. Great. Wait, just really... Oh, gosh, you scared me.
Oh, hi.
I didn't think anybody...
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to scare you. I'm Jerry. I got the office upstairs.
Oh, okay.
You are?
Shelley.
Shelley, hi. Nice to meet you.
Hi, nice to meet you.
How's it going down here?
Great. In fact, I was just wrapping up. I need to be going now.
Do you need a hand with anything?
No, really. I'm fine.
Are you sure? I'm a real handy guy, Shelley.
No, thanks, Jerry. I gotta get going.
Yeah? Not going anywhere.
No! 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 Most women think, but it will never happen to me. It's normal to feel terrified. The key to being effective is turning your terror into a focused and primitive rage. Every part of a woman's body can be used as a weapon. Sometimes self-defense means doing the unthinkable. Hi, I'm Melissa Soalt, also known as Dr. Ruthless. Welcome to my program. Since 1987, I've taught thousands of women how to fight back and protect themselves from danger. Initially, many women express concerns that they don't have it in them, or that they'll just freeze or panic. Of course, fear is normal and to some extent healthy. But that capacity for aggressive self-protection is hardwired in all of us. All female creatures possess this, and so do you. Trust me, that beast girl is in there somewhere. Remember, once upon a time, about 50,000 years ago, we were all who I call Neander babes. We had strong, sturdy legs and tribal chic hairdos. One minute we're cuddling our young coo-coo-coo. The next minute we were spearing the bears and stomping on those ugly snakes. This is part of our ancestry and female heritage. Concurrent with the physical techniques I'll be teaching you, my job is to unearth this capacity and reacquaint you with the beauty of your beast. Fighting back in self-defense is always a last resort. Avoidance, awareness, knowledge of how criminals operate, and some simple assault deterring strategies are your first lines of defense. I've boiled these down to 7 essential principles. 1. Develop assertive body language and a strong physical presence. Appearing timid, fearful, or distracted are like magnets to predators and opportunists. It allows them to quickly gain proximity. Instead, bulk up your body language. Walk like you own the turf. When approached, lower your center of gravity and assume a sturdy, pyramid-like stance. 2. Develop heightened awareness and peripheral vision. This allows you to reduce the element of surprise and see trouble coming sooner than later. Always scan your environment and never narrow your vision onto any one point. Instead, use your eyes like a wide-angle lens, which allows you to see in your blind spots, common angles of attack. Use reflective surfaces, such as window panes, to see what's behind you. 3. Learn to set and defend your boundaries. This is critical because prior to an assault, women's boundaries are often tested, and whenever a woman is assaulted, her boundaries are violated. The key is backing up your words with your body language and demeanor. 4. Use your voice as a weapon. Don't be afraid to make a scene. The voice can be used to attract attention and to startle or repel a would-be attacker. Countless women have successfully dissuaded rapists and other criminals by using their voice. 5. Avoid and escape whenever possible. Act swiftly. If there's an exit or opening, take it. Be willing to give up something to facilitate your escape. 6. Never ever go with a criminal to a secondary location. Do not get into a vehicle with a bad guy. Even at gunpoint, run in the opposite direction the vehicle is facing, getting as much distance between you as possible. Similarly, do not allow yourself to be dragged from a well-lit or public area to an isolated spot. Crime scene B is always far more dangerous. Some women never come back. 7. Always honor your instincts and intuition. This is one of our best natural defenses, and it's always with us. Honoring your gut feelings and underlying twinges of fear has saved many women's lives. Even when we do all the right things, it can still happen. A woman can be a black belt, she can be a power feminist, she can be assertive and confident, and still be assaulted. It doesn't mean she's done anything wrong. So this brings us to our aggressive, even violent self-defense section. Now there's a couple of reminders here I want to go over. First, let's remember that the goal of self-defense is to incapacitate the attacker and facilitate escape. You don't want to hang in there and, duke it out or trade blows with a guy. Still, more often than not, a simple release technique or even one strike really isn't going to cut it. So it's very likely that you're going to have to apply a continuous counterattack. Now, with whatever technique you use, remember that the single most important strategy a woman can employ is to hit that on switch inside of herself and become the predator. The mindset here is not about defending, but about attacking back. You have to be fierce, you have to be ferocious. You've got to hunt your targets and go after them like a lioness who's ruthless and intent. Anything short of that, being squeamish or half-hearted or retreating when you should be entering, can be met with dire and even fatal consequences. Here are 5 bottom-line commandments for effective self-defense. 1. Use the element of surprise. Be explosive. Go from 0 to 100% without telegraphing. 2. Use your hips, legs, and center of mass to power the moves. 3. Attack your assailant's vulnerabilities. Don't struggle against his superior strength. Ask yourself, what's mobile on you? What's available and vulnerable on him? 4. Commitment and intention counts. Summon that junkyard bitch within and blast through your targets. Don't be ladylike or apologetic. Be fierce. Be furious. 5. Use your voice. Vocalization fuels the body and activates breathing. It can jumpstart the fighting spirit and uncork a reservoir of power. I want to say a little bit about the padded assailant training method that we'll be using throughout this video. Now, this is the same method that I use when we teach classes. It's a full force system using scenario-based training that's conducted in an adrenaline state. Now, you can see here that Michael is outfitted in all this garb. So the beauty of this training system is that I'm able to demonstrate and apply the techniques full force, no holds barred, under the pressure of a simulated attack. Now, even though I know in my head, I know it's really Michael in here and he's a really nice guy, and my students know this as well, my body doesn't know the difference. It feels real and it produces the same physiological and emotional responses as if it were. Now, that's the beauty to this style of training. It's like if you really want to learn how to swim, you've got to get in the water. Now, translating this and bringing this into a video context also has some distinct advantages for you, the viewer. First, you'll get to see me deliver the strikes full power so you can really see what it looks like, and you'll be able to see the follow-through. You'll be able to see the impact that it has on a real body as well. Plus, you'll get to see the importance, and especially for women, again, typically smaller creatures, of the fighting spirit and why you've got to summon that in order to be effective in self-defense. Now, in keeping with the spirit of realism, the attackers, the guys who will be dressed up like this, are also going to be simulating the verbal attack that typically accompanies assaults against women and unfortunately often paralyzes them or crushes their spirit. So you're going to be hearing the harsh language, the foul language, the swears, the degrading language, because we want this to be as realistic as possible. Now, when you're watching this, you can consider this a training opportunity for yourself, because it's important to hear these words and develop kind of a desensitization and consider this like an immunization rather than allowing it to frighten you too much. So as you're watching, I want you to make sure that you keep breathing, keep your focus on me, because it might even bring up some feelings. You might get a little racing of your own heart or a little bit of an adrenaline dump, or it might frighten you a little bit, the intensity of the whole thing. But from my point of view, that's good because it provides these training opportunities for you, even while you're just watching some of this, to practice the principles that I'll be talking about to help you move through that fear and into a position of power. Now, I also want to say, to reassure you, I want to remind you that they're really not getting hurt, okay? Even though I'm going to be using full force strikes and so forth. He's very well protected in here. This is engineered padded gear that's been developed over many years. I want to show you a little bit about the helmet. So when you see me delivering eye strikes, for example, and I'll be doing them full blast, no holds barred, his head is really back here, some inches away from that. So I just want to reassure you that the guys wearing this armor are not really getting hurt. Now, this takes me to my last and important point, which is that we don't want you to try this at home, okay? So don't be thinking that you can just slap a pillow over your honey's groin there or some face mask on and say, honey, come here, I want to show you a technique I learned on video today, because you will hurt them terribly, and we don't want to hear about it. So don't try this at home. This is very specialized equipment. Okay, before you learn all these strikes, you have to know what to hit. So first we need to take a look at what the targets are on the body, and then we're going to look at what our natural weapons are. So let's look at the targets first. Starting from the top down, the eyes are a vulnerable target. The nose is a vulnerable target. Different weapons can be struck against the nose area. The chin and lower jaw is going to be a good target for some strikes. The ears are a good target for clapping and whacking. The throat is a great target if you can get it. All kinds of strikes can go into the throat, elbows, hand strikes, as well the side of the neck where the carotid artery is. There's a lot of off switches in there. Now, moving down the body, the only place in the chest we're really going to involve ourselves with, because you can pound on a guy's chest all day, it's not going to do anything. You know, that's why Tarzan pounds his chest. It doesn't hurt. But there's this one place here, this little bony plate, that's right in the middle of the chest where there just isn't a lot going on, so that's another target. Then moving down here, we've got the ribs, and especially the floating ribs. May I peel you up here for a sec? The floating ribs down in here. This is an excellent target. Elbow strikes can be struck there, knees, etc. The solar plexus, okay, you know, it might be available to you. And again, because some guys are so built up, sometimes it's not going to do much, so the ribs are better if you can get them. Now, moving south down the body, we have the groin. I don't think a whole lot has to be said about that. But the groin, especially in assaults against women, this is really important because in these close range engulfing and grabbing kind of situations, the groin is often available to you. And it's better to use a knee, which we'll get to that. So the groin, now even if you can't get the groin, because nothing's going to work all the time and nothing's always open or available, the lower abdomen, which houses some important organs, can also be struck. We're talking pretty much about knees here as well. So this region is great. And if the person, you end up outside a person, in other words, I'm over here instead of in front of him, the femoral nerve is another target, which basically is, if we drop the hand, it's pretty much at the bottom where the fingers are. This is an excellent target that also we can use the knees against. And if you hit it, you can drop a really big guy. Moving down the body some more. We've got the knees. There's all kinds of kicks that can be struck into the knees. Knees are sort of nature's mistake. And we also have the shin region, which we're also going to show you some techniques for striking in here. Last but not least, from the front of the body, is we have the instep, which is this area, the foot. There's hordes of bones that are below the ankle. It's a good stomp from hell. A serious stomp could easily break, crunch a bunch of bones there, which will at least slow somebody down if nothing else. And then if we turn to the back here, this nape of the neck, base of the head region is also a good target area. And any place along the spine. Any place along the spine, particularly when we get to the ground defense and the kidneys, a good solid axe kick or something like that will do a hell of a lot of damage to this area of the body. So we're pretty much sticking to center line targets. Nothing complicated, nothing fancy. You get to the center line and you hit one of these targets. Okay, let's look now at what we got going on for us in terms of natural bodily weapons. I like to think, first of all, about all of our body parts as power tools and kind of get out of this dainty feeling for our body and really think of them as strong tools. Now, starting from the top down with me, I can use my head. What do I mean by that? There are headbutts where you actually use your head to strike, particularly to a soft area like the nose. Teeth are a great weapon. You take a chomp out of somebody. Thanks, Bryn. You can easily chomp on any part of the anatomy. I mean, I know it may sound kind of gross, but again, you're in a life-threatening situation, a rape attack. Your teeth are there. You bite down on whatever you can. Moving down my body now, I'm going to look at my hands. This is the all-purpose tool right here. The hand is sort of like 10 tools in one. There are strikes and gouges. There are strikes using this bony part of the hand. There are strikes using this part. There's all kinds of strikes that you can go for. There's claps, and there's whacks with the open hand, and there's squeeze. Look at how many tools we get here with one. There are grinds. There are chops. You can't go wrong. And there are various versions of a fist. So this is the ultimate slice and dicer right here. It's sort of like one tool, and it depends on what the job calls for. You change and put on a different sort of attachment. So the elbows, moving down here. Elbows are very powerful tools for close in infighting, which is typically what we're talking about in assaults against women. Guys generally don't spar with women. They tend to want to engulf, grab, intimidate, dominate, close in very fast, maybe drag them someplace. So we take advantage of this, and the elbows is one of the best tools for this kind of infighting. Again, it can be struck against many areas, and there's different types of elbows. There's smashes, there's rear elbows, lots of different things you can do, creative things you can do with elbows. Moving down the body here, I'm going to come back to the hips at the end and go to the knees. The knees are our other most powerful natural bodily weapon. Like the elbows, knees can be struck against the groin, they can be struck into the ribs or solar plexus, they can be struck into the head. as well as in the back of the body, to the kidney region and to the side, that femoral nerve in here. There's all kinds of great techniques, and there's a couple of different styles of knee strikes I'll be teaching you. Then, of course, we have our legs, the entire leg, to deliver all kinds of kicks and other kicks. And on the ground, from the ground fighting position, you'll be learning all kinds of kicks. Also from lying down position, where your legs are basically going to be your primary weapon, because they're long and strong, longer and stronger than a guy's arms. So your legs are very powerful tools. And of course, at the bottom of the legs, we have the feet. Feet we're going to use to stomp, and in all the delivery. Anytime you kick, your foot is at the end of that kick. So that's about the feet. Now, I need to come back to the most important part, and that is the hips. Now, in addition to the fact that there are thrusts and strikes that you actually can use with your hips, the most important thing about the hip is that all the moves that we're going to teach you are powered from the hips. So if you look at how I'm standing for a second, I want to offer up this image. Take our big, sturdy pyramid-like stance. Imagine, if you will, that the hips, your hips, are like a cuisine art, and your hips are like the motor. Maybe a strange image, but it's as though the hips are the motor, then everything else powered from here, vroom, vroom, you know, you sort of turn it on, all the juice flows up, the power comes up from there. Then your dainty, smooth, silky little arms and hands are those slice and dice attachments. So this is your hub of power. All right, explaining a little bit about the eye strike. First of all, the target obviously is up here. So what I'm doing is I'm stepping in with my whole body to get very close as I deliver that strike. It's not going to work from a distance. I can't just stick my arms out there because he'll see that coming and catch them, which makes things a lot more difficult. So this technique, like all of these techniques I'm going to teach you, they're basically going to come up the center line of his body, which makes it more difficult for him to see them. I don't wing out like this, because he'll see that that's a big move, it telegraphs everything, and he'll just block it. Second technique I'm going to show you now, it's just a different attachment, is going to be a throat strike, okay? And I'm going to be using my hand, this is sometimes called a web or a Y hand, and if you can get that little knuckle to protrude, you get extra points for that. The target is basically the Adam's apple region, okay? So this looks like this.
Got to.
No! No! All right, take a closer look at this. It's really simple. Again, I'm coming up the center line, stepping in, and delivering bam, bam. I want to drive this in. Now, this technique, again, you're going for the Adam's apple, also can be used to drive a person back. You've got to stay close to do that. And in another version of this is to then squeeze your fingers together. It's like this is what's going on here. And sometimes it's called a ring of iron, which essentially kind of gets a hold of the windpipe.
Right. The fine point is don't try and wrap around the big muscles.
Right.
Go right around the little.
Go right in here. You can actually feel. You can get a purchase on this. The next one I'm going to show you is a palm strike. It's the classic tool for any self-defense or martial arts system. I'm striking with the palm of the hand, okay? And again, the target is going to be the throat or the chin area. So this move looks like this.
Teach you a lesson.
Go! Right in, okay? Check this out here. I'm going right into the face. Again, look at how close my body gets to his, and the power in this is coming out of the hip. Let me show a little bit more specifically some of the mechanics here, because this is really important to get the mechanics right. Again, the target region. We're going for under the chin or jaw, can also go into the nose. This is partly going to depend on your height differential and what you're dealing with. Because we're both smaller here, I can use this in a number of targets. If it was a taller guy, I'd be coming up more. Now, a few things I want to say about this. Unfortunately, this is one of those techniques that's often taught very poorly, and I'm going to tell you what I mean by poorly. You don't just move your arms. This is not going to work. It's not patty cake, okay? You don't just do this. The power in this move, I'm going to exaggerate this a little bit so you can pick up the mechanics here. First, again, I'm always lowering my center of gravity, so I've got a really nice stable base, pyramid-like base underneath me. This is like the launching pad of all the techniques right here. Now, slowly, as I do this, I step. I'm still going to close that distance. I'm exaggerating a little bit, but from here, it's almost a shot put. I wind up, rotating through the hip, bam, and that's where that strike comes out of. Next technique I'm going to teach you is an elbow strike, one of our strongest in-fighting weapons. It's actually a front forearm smash is often how this is described. And it looks like this. Very powerful, the elbow strike. All right, a little bit about the mechanics with the elbow strike. And let's first look at what some of the targets are, because you get a few options here. Okay? First, if you can take the head, take the head. This is the quickest off switch, the quickest way to render somebody unconscious, cause them to be stunned and incapacitated, take the head. So, what I'm doing here, again, this is a fast motion. I move in and I whip it. I whip the arm in, and I'm striking basically with right around this big gnarly bone, okay? The targets, the throat is a beautiful target, if you can get it, if it's available to you. Or any place in the head, any place you get somebody here is pretty good. Now,
Actually, sometimes they'll see you aiming for the head and actually move their head out of the way,
correct,
aiding you in getting the neck or throat.
Right, exactly. I mean, any place in here is a great place to strike. Let's look at a follow-up technique, okay, the groin strikes. The gist of the groin strike is that the power, once again, comes out of the hips. So what I'm going to do, and hope nobody's offended by this, but I like to call it the wrecking ball, because it's that kind of a slinging motion in my hips. Bam! That's how you get the juice into the knee strike. I want you to watch here. I'm going to make a couple of more points. Here again, it's not going to work if I'm far away. First, you're not going to reach, and second of all, no guy on the planet is going to stand there and let you whack on him. The beauty of the groin strike, in particular in attacks against women, because these engulfing, grabbing, very close range tactics are most commonly used, it allows you to get in for the groin strike. But I've got to get the hips in motion. So the move itself is that there's a little step, I close the distance a little, and I step down, a drop. This is kind of like loading the spring. And then my back leg is going to sling from underneath, okay? So the finished position for a moment would be like this. My back gives way just ever so slightly. That's what enables this to come through. I'm not doing this. There are different types of knee strikes, but it's important. I don't want to knee and pull back and keep myself in this kind of C shape here, because that shortens the stomach muscles and you don't get that nice slinging of the hips. So the style that works best is, by the way, if he's got my wrists, I'm not going to get tense, because then he's got total control over me. I hate that. So I'm going to just relax, because all he's got is 2% of me, and I have 98% that works really good. Bam! Then the hands come out really easy. All right, back to the technique here. Swinging the hips, so step, strike, step through.
Look, I'm not done talking to you. I'm fucking...
Being pinned and engulfed is very common in attacks against women. In fact, many sexual assaults occur in this position or start out in this position. Even in lower level kinds of threats, maybe somebody's just mauling you or getting their hands on you, because of the nature of pins and the proximity, things can escalate and become dangerous very quickly. So it's really critical that you know what to do and not do. This is also a very frightening situation. I mean, we basically have like a larger creature overpowering, dominating, using his greater size, his greater mass to try and control and essentially violate a woman. So it's natural that a woman would feel very terrified or panic-stricken here. Now, unfortunately, without training, what typically happens is that people will start struggling, trying to push him away. In this kind of struggle, which is very ineffectual. It's not going to work because I'm struggling against his greatest strength here. And also, I might actually escalate the violence. This might piss him off more, and also it might even arouse him in some way. So I don't want to do that. Plus, if I start struggling, I've basically betrayed my greatest technique, which is the element of surprise, or the crown jewel of techniques. So you don't want to do that, okay? So let's take a look at what you do want to do. Basically, the good news here is that if he can reach me, I can reach him. If I can reach him, then I can also damage him. So this is where we've really got to employ the strategy of immediately attacking back. You can't test the waters. This is the concept of a reversal, which we'll also be using when we get to the ground defense and rape defense from a lying down position. So essentially, what you're going to want to do is be very explosive, go very ballistic into a vulnerable area, and immediately attack back 0 to 100% without telegraphing or testing the water in any way. So I want you to watch as we do the next scenario, and watch for that moment when I make that switch and I go from sort of ragdoll to ballistic, because that's the key, is to hit that on switch and go off.
Smart mouth, bitch, I bet you think you're fucking... Ow!
Right. Oh, jeez!
Good morning.
On my dresser.
Good morning.
Over there. It's on my dresser. Right there.
Where the
I got a diamond. It's right on top. You can see it.
What else? Where the...
Drugs, I got drugs. You can have whatever you want. You can have whatever you want. Money, drugs.
Whatever I want?
Yep.
You know I'm gonna have whatever I want, don't you? That's right, baby. First you, then a little girl upstairs, right?
No! No! Run! Run! Better! Better!
Listen. Time to get to work, bitch.
All right.
Down on your knees. On your knees.
No! 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 Oh,
Bitch, where do you think you're going?
Come
You
on,
ain't
Bob.
getting away
Put the
from
horse
me. You ain't
place.
getting away.
Back off, Bob.
Bitch, I'm gonna fuck you up.
No!
Oh! Bitch, I'm gonna fuck you up.
Gentle! Gentle!
Okay, so let's take a look at the techniques that we used here. The first one that I used is the eye strike. Now, I also have a couple of options here. I can use my thumbs and make a little fist and then drive my thumbs into his eyes. Or I can just put my hands this way and then very suddenly, bam, drive the thumbs into the eyes. Any one of those is completely acceptable. Then, of course, I immediately, in these off-the-wall techniques, latch onto him and use that real close range, boom, knee strike. Basically, what I want to do is stick to him like white on rice and just impale him with techniques until it's safe for me to escape. Now, to throw him away, I'm basically going to pull down on one side and press up on the other. It's almost like a steering motion here. And what that will do is toss him away, and he will lose his balance. And I'm sending him on that diagonal to that corner there. Okay? And this would be my opportunity to escape. Now, in this situation, again, he's compressing me. So there's no place I can go. I'm going to go down and pop up. So the power in this particular version of the palm strike comes from the legs, comes from going down and then driving all the way up through the hips and the legs. Bam! The beautiful thing about this palm strike, if you're in a pin situation, is that the person can't be too close. He could be this close, in other words, and if I can go down, I can come up. So you really don't need any distance. And again, I'm coming right up that center line, so he really doesn't get to see it coming.
Goes in below my line of sight, so I never see the strike.
Never sees the strike. Up, down, pop up. Now, here I'm also going to introduce you to this idea of latching on to the person, not just to strike them, but to spin them and slam them. So again, after a knee strike here, or anything you're using, if I get my hands on him this close, what I need to do is stay very close so that I can maneuver his body. It's as though I want to make his body a part of me. It won't work from a distance. I have no power here. So it only is going to work from a very close position. And here again, I've got another kind of steering motion going on, where I'm pushing this part of him back as I'm pulling this part of him in. And that's what gets him to basically move around the central axis. So from here, slam. Okay, it's really pretty much that simple. Now, in this situation also, assuming that I had to do more, I could deliver an elbow strike from this range, a groin strike, I could palm strike him, I could stick my fingers in his eyes, I could do just about anything from here, okay? So the slamming, again, you latch on, it's a push-pull, and you really manhandle him. There's nothing dainty about this. Now, the next technique, again, that I'm using is an elbow strike. Once more, this one is just close range. It's very fast, it's very explosive. The thumb goes towards the chest as I'm delivering this move. If I can reach the head, in a situation like this, given our heights, I could immediately take the head. Otherwise, I'm going to go into the ribs, the solar plexus region in there. Now, this one also had a little trick where I slapped his nuts. There's no better way to say it. Basically, after the elbow strike, I just whack him. It's an open-handed whack. That's really all there is to it. You can see the lower body gets hit, the upper body or the head tends to come forward and vice versa. So what I'm taking advantage of is I'm going to leave my hand on there. Now my other hand is going to come up from the back of the neck or the head. Again, I have one part of me slamming him one way, and now I'm also putting him another way. So I keep using this principle of push and pull or down and up. This is back and forward. And I'm going to drive him. Notice that I come with. Once again, all these techniques from here, I have to be very close. It's not going to work from a distance. Remember, this is close encounters of the wrong kind. So I'm slamming him here, hand goes here, and driving him forward. See, again, at the finish, that I'm close to him until it's safe for me to get away. There are situations, for example, maybe he's putting a close-range choke on me, or there's just a lot of motion going on, and I just can't get up the middle to the eyes or the throat or any of the centerline targets. So while he's messing with me, I'm going to sneak around to the outside. This is a very explosive move, and I'm whacking. It's just like, bam! It's as though I have like hot water bottles in my hand. Bam! I want to like bust his eardrums. In fact, if done correctly, you can actually knock somebody out this way. And also, it will sound like a bomb going off in his head. At the very least, it's extremely disorienting and it affects the whole nervous system. So it's hard for a person to maintain their balance. But you can't, again, you can't be polite about it. It's wham! So once I had that going, again, anytime we're in range, latch on. Our knees are one of our most, knees and elbows, one of our most powerful infighting weapons. Strike. Now, another new move here. His head, as it comes lower, anytime I can get my hands on his head, I'm also going to do so to deliver a throw. Now, so far we've just been learning strikes, but it's important for women to also have at least one good basic throw in their toolbox. There are some distinct advantages to throws. First of all, you can take a person's balance by doing a throw. I'm just going to do one here. Get them to spin around. There's a lot of concussive impact. Guys are so thick these days, especially in this day and age with bodybuilding and weight training, that the truth of the matter is you can just whack and elbow and strike certain body types, and you know it will cause some pain, distress, but you can't always count on it to really incapacitate a person. So it's important to have something like a throw in there as well. So this is a very simple one. The simplest way to think about this is that where the head goes, the body follows. Very simply, if I move his head, okay, any place I move his head, look at him, he's going to start losing his balance unless his feet can go with him. So basically, that's what I want to do here. There's essentially two things that's going on. One is a torque. This time, it's a turn the head this way, okay, all the way. Let's just look at this move again. And I'm driving the head with my body. So it's all the way. I take all the slack out of his neck until it doesn't go anymore, and his back is presenting to me. This is very important. Now from there, I'm going to make him look up at the sky. You can see already that I've got his head in my hands, and he's going to lose his balance. I want to, now, after I torqued him, it's essentially like a slam dunk. That's the simplest way to think about it. My left foot down here is where I want his head to end up. So I don't want him to fall on me, so I'm going to get me out of the way and just keep spinning. Look at this move one more time. So again, anytime you can get the hands on the head, anytime the head comes down and it's in range, this is another powerful tool for you. I'm turning the head all the way, make him look up. Now this is very important that he look up at the ceiling, because a person can resist this a little bit. So after you turn the head, you want to take his head in another direction. So I'm making him look up. All right? Once again, I want his head to end up where my foot is. So I move my foot out of the way, and I keep spinning. Part of the power in this move, and the beauty of this move, is that, like everything else, is all in the hips. What I mean by that is that, watch my body here. The more I spin, the more power there's going to be in it. So from here, it's really, it's almost a corkscrew kind of thing. So as I step my leg back, I'm going to slow motion this for you. I turn. This is sort of the big slow motion version, and I really put that twist in my hip. And it's that spiraling. It's almost like water going down the drain. This is how to get a very powerful throw to happen. As you finish this move, notice that I stay attached to him in some fashion. This is important because in a real situation, if you were to throw somebody, they may still be able to move, and you're going to have to be there. You might have to palm strike them right away. In this case, what you saw me using were shuto strikes to the neck. But the first thing is it's really important to be close so that you can do something else if you need to, unless it's completely safe for you to exit at that moment. Now, the shutos, which is your basic karate chop move. The target, let me just show you first where the target is. Okay? This area in here, the neck, the throat, the carotid artery, it's actually pretty easy to knock somebody out by striking them really hard with this kind of a blow. So what I'm doing as he's down, okay, first thing is I want to have a good access to it, so I'm going to turn his head a little bit. Just like when he was standing, I turned his head. He's down here, so I just want to give me that neck, all right? From there, the best way to get power out of this move is to take the back of your hand and attach it to your temple, more or less, right up here. It's not a little choppy move. And notice how, because I'm small and I need all the power I can get, I'm going to sort of elongate myself a little bit, and then it's basically a strike down into this area. As many times as it takes. This is a very powerful strike. But again, it's all the way up, bam, up. This is important that you get that up-down motion, again, using my hips and my whole body here, not a little choppy thing. It's also possible that if somebody's still functional at that point, they're going to try and block this. Who wouldn't, right? So if the hand comes up, that doesn't matter. The only thing you can do is take the hand and peel it aside. Your target is here, so if the hand comes up to block, just peel it aside and keep going. So it's up, down, boom. And again, if the hand comes across, no problem, keep going. If you want to practice this with a partner, a trusted partner, this is how we recommend doing it. Get on bended knee, put one person on bended knee. So it's a low fall, not a high fall. Now this, be very, very gentle. Don't be like psycho chiropractor with your partner here. Place your hands and gently, but completely, turn all the way. It's really important that it go all the way so the back is showing. Then lift the head up. Okay, now you can do this slowly. Just step and drive him down. It's almost just like a crunch or a slam dunk kind of thing. Okay, one more time. You have to be close. Turn the head all the way. Make him look up and crunch. Also, please be sure that you do this on a cushy surface, okay? This is not something you do out in the parking lot unless you really know how to take these falls. So nice carpet or matting or something like this. You don't want the person's head to go clunk.
Bitch, you come with me!
Rear attacks are also very common. It's an ambush, something surprising somebody from behind, and often they're used in a predatory fashion or stalking fashion to grab a woman or basically maneuver or take her someplace else. We've already talked about how important it is that you never go to that secondary location. So this section we're going to be focusing on techniques to turn in and attack back, and we're also going to look at how to manage that panic that often arises in this surprise from behind when you can't see anything coming, but suddenly you're grabbed. The first series of techniques and situations I'm going to show you are when somebody grabs you from behind, but you're not yet immobilized, so there's an opportunity for you to immediately strike back, turn in, and continue with entering techniques.
Elbow!
Right.
I got you, man.
Elbow!
Right.
Hey, baby, come on.
Elbow!
Right. First, let's look at a hair grab. The main thing about this, maybe he's trying to yank me someplace or drag me, the most common mistake people make is that they try to pull away. It hurts like hell, and it's not going to do anything. So the main thing is if somebody grabs your hair, all you want to do is turn in. It's kind of a go with the flow. So as he's pulling back on my hair, boom, I'm just going to go with him. If I can strike into the throat and the face, that's ideal. If it's a big, tall guy, it might end up being into the ribs or solar plexus region. I want to make a few points now about that elbow strike because this is going to be one of our main tools in these rear attacks. So, the mechanics of the elbow strike. I'm reaching forward. I need to look back at my target. Okay? The target is going to be in the throat or the face region, ideally. So this is to get the most power out of this strike. It's like I'm reaching on a power cord. I'm going to start the motor. I look, I step a little bit closer, and then at that last second, I'm going to take the shortest distance between point A down here and point B. Boom! So it's like a spearing motion. So when I finish, my elbow is thrusting through whatever my target is, and notice that my whole body is facing the same direction. This is very important to transfer all that power and get the best technique. Looking one more time, I reach, I step, strike! All the way through. So if he pressed on my elbow right now, you'd see once again that my body is unified as one piece. Transfers all the way down to my heel here. What's most important and the biggest mistake that people often make is that they whip around. And in whipping around, you can miss the target. And now your face and your throat and this whole area is open. So again, you want to spear through him. Reach, strike! All of me turning and facing him here, okay? So that's the gist of the elbow strike. Now we're going to look at rear attacks where you're immobilized, grabbed in such a way that you can't immediately turn in. So you're going to have to do something else initially to release the hands so that you can then turn in.
No! Slam! Slam! Elbow! Right!
And always poised for that next move, hunting my next target here in spirit. All right, let's take a look at this. First, I want to explain something about what to do when you get grabbed. Because typically, when a person is grabbed, they don't know what to do. They're going to start struggling like this. Notice I rise up out of my center here, come up, and I just start struggling. This is not going to work. All it's going to do is exhaust me, and again, he's going to bear down harder and become even more violent. So the first thing you really need to do here is gather yourself on the inside, and also you're going to protect your center line. So what I'm doing is this. No! Okay, a couple of pointers about what I'm doing here. First, I want to say that it's very startling. Somebody comes up and aggressively grabs you from behind. One of the first things you have to do is stay on the planet. Literally, get yourself focused, get yourself grounded. So this has to do with preparing yourself on the inside. So what I'm doing when I yell no, and I come down a little bit, lowering my center of gravity, it's as though for me, I'm kind of summoning all my forces, and I'm gathering myself for this, because those first few seconds, literally the first 3 seconds of an attack are critical, and you have your best chance of damaging someone and facilitating escape then, because the longer a person has control over you, the worse it generally gets. All right, so let me just show you one more time that opening move. No! Yelling is important too, because it galvanizes the force, the fighting spirit inside of me, and it may well startle him, but again, we can't really count on that. So here I am, I'm covering my center line. This is important too. If my arms flailed back, he's doing the Heimlich maneuver on me, but thank you, I'm really not choking, and it could knock the wind right out of me. This is very common. So also, even if I can just get a piece of my arms immediately in front and cover, he can pick me up. You know, it's not the most comfortable position, but what it does is it protects my diaphragm and the breathing apparatus. So the first thing, again, is bring the arms in, even if it's just a little bit, to buy yourself that buffer. No! And you really got to get down here. So this is kind of loading myself for the fire that's about to explode. All right, so after this, no! If somebody is behind you, that means the targets are behind you. If your hands are free, very simply, all I'm going to do is move my little snake hips over to the side and take my little hand here, whack, and slap back. Doesn't really matter whether it's the front of your hand or the side of the hand. Again, it's just boom, in. Notice again, I can't emphasize this enough, that I'm on him already. This is not ooh, 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 clap something and run, all right? That's a defensive, retreatful mode. No! Slap! I always I'm ready to go in, so I slap back. Now, from here, of course, there's a couple of different options, but again, once I'm here, I want to keep attacking unless I can quickly get away. So there might be an elbow strike opportunity from here. There might be, you can latch on and use your groin strikes. There's any number of things. You could strike up into the face if you've got like a really great back fist or something like that. You could chop into the neck or throat. It depends on the size of the person. But the main thing is, once you get that opening move, slap, boom, you've really got to keep attacking. You want to explode not like a firecracker all over the place, but more like a bullet. You want to be very focused and intent. Now, let's look at a couple of other options that we have from rear attacks. Okay, so from the first move again, no! For some reason, if I can't get my hand free, or he's wearing a giant coat or whatever, and I don't think it's going to work, a couple of other things you can do. One is to kick back into his knee. And this is basically just bring your leg up and kick back, turning your leg. It's best to turn your foot out when you do this move. Okay? You want to blow that knee out. All right? So the move again looks like this. Boom. Now, another option you can have is to stomp the foot. Okay, if somebody grabs you, chances are their feet are going to be nearby. So this is that big old stomp from hell. And you want to use my heel to drive down. I'm going to stomp the floor right next to his foot. No! Okay, check out this move. This is a big one. It comes from the hips like everything else. It looks like this. No! A big-ass stomp is what we're talking about here. Right here onto the instep. Notice that my foot, the finished position, driving it down, crosses his like a T again. I'm not going this way, which you might miss if you go that way. I don't want to go for the toes. I want to go for the bridge and kind of crush it. All right, so that's another option. The last option I'm going to show you is also, actually I'm going to strike with my rear end, a hip thrust. Boom! Now, if you practice this with a partner, you'll see how powerful this can be. It may not look like much.
Surprisingly so, yeah.
So as soon as the grab comes in, no! Can buy you some distance. Then I could get a giant pendulum swing going here. Or again, if escape was immediately available, I might be able to take that. One more thing about this hip thrust is if I to extend my arms forward. No! At the same time, it will help to break his grasp. So, once again, you gotta love those hips.